Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for logging on to CBSDenver.com. Hanging out with Mark Schlereth. He was our guest tonight on Xfinity Monday Live. Of course, we're talking Broncos and the draft. What'd you think?
I thought they did a great job. And I really, I think going into this thing, I looked at the last couple of years. I think athleticism is the easiest thing in the world to look at. 40 times, vertical jumps. You can see athleticism jump off the film. But it doesn't necessarily make you a great football player. And I think they really looked at themselves saying, we need to not only have athletes, but more importantly, great football players. And the tape is what shows you who can really play and who can't. And I think they focused on that. They focused on character guys. The majority of everybody they drafted was a team captain. So I think what you did is you drafted the next generation of Bronco team captains. Guys that I think there's been a leadership vacuum since Peyton Manning walked out of that facility. And I think they recognize that and say, we need more quality leaders of men in our locker room. And I think that's the way they went.
Looking at where this team was at the start of the offseason to where they are now, the additions of Case Keenum, Jared Veldheer, obviously the additions of the 2018 draft class, have they done enough to put themselves back in the talk or back in playoff position?
Well, I think there's two things. I think they've done enough. And I think Case Keenum is a guy that a lot of people think, oh, one-year wonder. But you've got to go back through his career, and you've got to see what he did with the Rams in less than desirable circumstances, without protection, without elite-level talent around him. And he actually played pretty well under those conditions. So I think that was a really quality pickup for them. But again, I think it's coupled with the fact that they've improved. But all of a sudden, Kansas City's going to play essentially a first-year quarterback who's had one start under his belt and who, has really been drafted more on talent and more on spectacular than he has been on, what you do 70% of the time, which is just kind of grind through and move the chains. And I think the Raiders, with turnover the coaching position and some of the things going on there, and then the Chargers, I think they've all come back to the pack a little bit, and the Broncos have made this push. So I certainly think that they could compete for the AFC West.
You're peeking up at the Rockies game here in between breaks. It's the, let's see, top of the sixth, 2-2. You got a hot take on the Rockies for me?
No, it just is like the inconsistency just drives you crazy, right? Like when they pitch really well and they can't hit, and then they every time they load up by like 11 runs, I'm like, can we just save some of those for the next game, guys? Can we? Yeah, so hopefully they get it all together, because the thing that scares me is they haven't jumped out here early. Yeah. And the Dodgers are they're gonna start reeling everybody in. That the Giants are gonna get healthy. They'll get Bumgarner back. It just scares me to not at least have a little bit of a lead as those teams start to get healthy.
Yeah, Diamondbacks are sitting out there.
Diamondbacks are
NL.
what, five and a half up?
Five
like
up
that. Yeah.
Tonight. So, all right, that's going to do it. We've talked enough Broncos and Rockies. Hey, man, always enjoy having you on.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much for coming by. That is going to do it for us, and thank you for logging on to CBSDenver.com.